Florida's governor says leave now. Residents begin fleeing the coast.
So it could be the biggest evacuation ever.
As the hurricane, now battering the Caribbean, takes aim at the U.S. southeast. Also tonight, Trump weighs in on his running mate.
Mike Pence did an incredible job.
Now, a replacement Samsung phone starts smoking, forcing the evacuation of a jetliner. Shades of Snowden, a new NSA security breach. A contractor is arrested for allegedly taking secret documents. And a new beginning for a wounded warrior.
I'm just grateful that I'm going to have this opportunity to be able to hold somebody's hand again.
This is the CBS Evening News with Scott Pelley.
This is our Western edition. One of the most powerful hurricanes in nearly a decade is on its way to the southeast. Watches and warnings are up from the southern tip of Florida all the way to South Carolina. 500,000 people are being urged to move inland. Airlines are canceling hundreds of flights, and Amtrak is shutting down service in the southeast. Hurricane Matthew is a Category 3 with winds as high as 120 miles an hour. It is blamed for as many as 25 deaths in Haiti and the Dominican Republic. We have a team of correspondents on the story. First, we'll go to Omar Villafranca in the Bahamas.
The outer bands of Hurricane Matthew are starting to pound the island of Exuma here in the Bahamas. But across the Caribbean Sea, people in Haiti and Cuba are starting to clean up after taking a beating from the powerful storm. In Le Cay, Haiti, 145-mile-per-hour winds left a path of destruction. The hurricane destroyed hundreds of homes and flooded the streets. The storm toppled trees and knocked out power and communications to large parts of the island nation. A major bridge was destroyed by floodwaters, cutting off access and aid to residents on the western tip of the island. Thousands of people are now without shelter. In the eastern tip of Cuba, the storm slashed through and flattened homes in the city of Baracoa. Here in the Bahamas, residents are boarding up and bracing for Matthew as the storm now takes aim at the islands. Nassau resident Andy Gill stocked up on food and other supplies. He plans to ride out the hurricane at home.
My stomach tells me that this one might be bad, but we live in hope and we trust that everything works out well for us.
We haven't seen the full force of...
On the small island of Exuma, radio DJ Gigi Percenti was still broadcasting, warning island dwellers about the hurricane. Gigi plans to leave the radio booth for shelter before the storm hits.
I'm Manuel Bojorquez in Florida. The state's first mandatory evacuation happened along the coast east of Orlando, where storm surge is expected to reach 3 to 5 feet. Governor Rick Scott said an unprecedented number of evacuees could follow.
Protecting life is the number one priority right now. If Matthew directly impacts Florida, there will be massive destruction that we haven't seen in years.
The last Category 3 or higher hurricane to hit Florida was Wilma in 2005, so there is concern that some vulnerable communities have grown complacent. But throughout South Florida today, it appeared people were heeding the warnings, boarding up windows, waiting in long lines for gas and propane. Inside, store shelves that stock water quickly ran bare. The Dania Beach Grill already closed. Kathleen LaCourte is the manager.
Is there anything in particular about this storm that made you decide to close up now?
It keeps jogging east and west, and it just seems like it doesn't know which direction it's going, so we decided to keep everyone safe, we would close.
Nearby, we noticed lifeguard Michael Huck helping dig up one of their towers.
During high tide, the water's going to be way up, and there's going to be a lot of force against these towers.
And the only way to get them to higher ground was by crane.
Crews also set up these barriers to help contain the storm surge. Already 500 National Guard troops are on standby for search and rescue. Scott, officials are urging people here to evacuate as soon as possible to avoid endangering themselves and those first responders.
Manuel Bojorquez on the Florida coast. Now to Eric Fisher, the chief meteorologist at our CBS station WBZ in Boston. Eric, where's this headed?
Well, Scott, the last time a storm Category 3 or stronger hit the United States, Twitter did not exist, iPhones did not exist 4,000 days ago. That's a record streak, but sadly, it looks like that may end. Matthew is strengthening again tonight. It's moving off toward the west. We have hurricane warnings that extend across a large portion of the Florida coast and tropical storm warnings that are farther inland, and they also extend down toward the Keys. And here's a look at some of the potential wind gusts as we head through the next couple of days. As we head into Thursday evening, stronger winds starting to approach the coastline already. Very destructive winds across the Bahamas. So we head into the overnight. Look at the winds now gusting over 100 miles per hour at the coast, and they'll work their way up the coastline. Big thing here is where exactly will that center go? If it's inland, it brings all that most destructive wind inland. If it stays just offshore, 20 miles can make a big difference here, Scott, and this will move toward the Carolinas by the weekend.
And it could still strengthen. Eric Fisher, thanks very much. Well, today, Nielsen reported about 37 million people watched the vice presidential debate last night, moderated by our Elaine Quijano. That's roughly half as many as the Clinton-Trump debate last week, and about half as many as the 2008 Biden-Palin face-off, which set the record for a vice presidential debate. Here's Nancy Cordes.
Some people think I won.
Mike Pence basked in the limelight today, and so did his running mate.
Mike Pence did an incredible job, and I'm getting a lot of credit because that's really my first so-called choice. That was my first hire.
Trump said Pence kept his cool through 90 minutes of incoming fire.
Both Donald Trump and Mike Pence want to get rid of birthright citizenships. He's trying to fuzz up what Donald Trump has said. Donald Trump is avoiding paying taxes.
The strength of Tim Kaine's attacks were diluted somewhat by the sheer number of them.
You are Donald Trump's apprentice.
Did you work on that one a long time?
Pence and Kaine came into the debate with specific goals and stuck to them. Pence wanted to serve as a calming counterweight to his unpredictable running mate.
Where did you find this? Machado.
Where did you find
it?
And to make some points Trump missed in his debate.
The reality is when she was Secretary of State, Senator, come on. She had a Clinton Foundation accepting contributions from foreign governments.
Kaine wanted to prove that some of Trump's positions make even Pence uncomfortable.
When Donald Trump says Mexicans are rapists and criminals, Mexican immigrants, I can't imagine how you can defend that.
You whipped out that Mexican thing again.
First thing this morning, the Clinton campaign released a compilation of 6 times last night that Pence tried to rewrite Trump's history.
More nations should get nuclear weapons.
Don't
try to defend that.
Well, he never said that.
Wouldn't you rather, in a certain sense, have Japan have nuclear weapons?
Saudi Arabia nuclear weapons?
Saudi Arabia, absolutely.
The VP debate was a big shot in the arm for Republicans who have watched Trump's poll numbers slide all week. But, Scott, both sides acknowledged that round 2 between Clinton and Trump, just 4 days from today, will likely have a far more profound impact on this race.
Nancy Cordes, thanks. Now let's go to John Heilman, co-managing editor of Bloomberg Politics. John, Pence, the perceived winner, but did Kaine do what he needed to do?
I think the Clinton campaign did not see the debate last night as a debate between Tim Kaine and Mike Pence. They saw that debate as a debate between Tim Kaine and Donald Trump. And so even though Kaine had some problems stylistically, especially in the early going, the Clinton campaign was happy with the degree to which he mercilessly savaged Donald Trump and got a lot of the negative information that they want out there in the ecosystem out on that stage last night. I think they were quite happy with how he did.
And the next presidential debate is this Sunday in prime time. We're going to carry it right here on CBS, but this is going to be very different. A town hall meeting with questions from the audience. How will that play to the strengths and weaknesses of Trump and Clinton?
Well, in some ways, it's a more complicated kind of debate, both because you have real people asking the questions, and you also have a situation where both candidates are kind of free to roam out away from their podiums, and that's going to create some interesting physical dynamics, potentially some interesting gender dynamics. Neither one of these candidates, I think, is particularly well suited to this format. Donald Trump has barely ever done it. Hillary Clinton has done a bit of it, but it'll be intriguing to see how they manage the challenges here. Hillary Clinton certainly preparing for it more assiduously in a more formal kind of rigorous way than Trump, but it's possible that either one of them could turn out to be unexpectedly great in this kind of unusual format.
The insights of John Heilman, Bloomberg Politics. John, great to have you with us again.
Thanks, Scott.
And a reminder, CBS News live coverage of the next Clinton-Trump debate will begin Sunday evening at 9 Eastern Time. Today, in a case that recalls Edward Snowden, a contractor for the National Security Agency has been charged with stealing vital secrets. Our Homeland Security correspondent Jeff Pegues is following this.
Law enforcement sources say the first sign of a security breach at the NSA came in mid-August when someone posted highly sensitive secrets about the agency's cyber tools. Experts say the posts included computer code intended to hack major cyber targets like foreign governments. At first, a cyber attack by another country was suspected, but soon investigators zeroed in on NSA contractor Harold Martin III. In late August, police converged on his Maryland home. Glenn Bond lives down the street.
FBI jackets all over the place, state troopers.
According to the criminal complaint unsealed today, the FBI searched the house, car, and 2 storage sheds. Investigators say they found hard copy documents and digital information stored on various devices with markings indicating that they contained highly classified and top secret information that, if made public, could cause exceptionally grave damage to the national security of the United States. Martin's wife, Deb, was at the house today.
I have absolutely no comment on the matter, and that I am standing by my husband, that I love him very much.
Martin, a Navy veteran, was employed by defense contractor Booz Allen Hamilton, the same company that hired Edward Snowden. In 2013, he leaked classified secrets about U.S. global and domestic surveillance methods. It is considered one of the most damaging security breaches in decades. According to the court papers, Martin admitted that he took the documents, but Scott, his attorney, says there is no evidence his client intended to betray his country, and he has devoted his entire career to serving and protecting America.
Jeff Pegues in the Washington newsroom. Jeff, thank you. Well, today an airliner was evacuated when a new Samsung phone began smoking in a passenger's pocket. Samsung has been recalling its phones because of battery fires, but it appears that this phone is one of the replacements that are supposed to be safe. Here's our transportation correspondent, Chris Van Cleve.
Well, we got smoke and the emergency equipment over here.
That smoke came pouring from this Samsung Galaxy Note 7 smartphone, forcing Southwest Flight 994 to Baltimore to be evacuated as it sat at the gate in Louisville this morning.
I was just trying to get it away from me, and there's really no good place to put it on a plane, of course.
Brian Green says he just turned the phone off and put it in his pocket.
I heard some popping that sounded like a Ziploc bag popping open, and looked around to see what that was, and there was smoke just billowing, pouring out of my pocket.
Smoke in the cabin on the ramp, at the gate, terminal ramp, Southwest 994, Boeing 737 for smoke in the cockpit.
Passenger Tanika Lindsay.
Someone yelled out, "The phone is on fire," and of course the first thing that came to mind was the recalls on the Samsung phones.
Samsung has recalled more than 2 million of the Galaxy Note 7s made before September 15th. There have been at least 92 reports in the U.S. of the phone's lithium-ion battery overheating, resulting in 26 burns and 55 cases of property damage, including fires to cars and a garage. Airlines have been asking passengers traveling with a Note 7 not to charge the phone and to keep it turned off while on board. A check of the serial number on Green's phone showed it is not part of the current recall.
There's something else going on they need to look a little deeper into.
Now, Green says this phone was actually a replacement for his previous device, which had been recalled. That's a potentially troubling development. Scott, Samsung says in a statement it's working with the authorities and Southwest to recover the phone and determine the cause.
Chris Van Cleve, thanks. Coming up next on the CBS Evening News, a high school football team that is so good, opponents refuse to play them. And later, an extraordinary gift changes the life of a wounded warrior. One of the best high school football teams in the state of Washington hasn't suited up much this year because few teams want to play them. They're just too strong. Carter Evans is in Everett, north of Seattle.
On the football field, Archbishop Murphy is a powerhouse, overwhelming their opponents this year by a combined score of 170 to nothing. But winning by such margins comes at a cost. The school is having trouble finding other schools willing to play them. Since a mid-September blowout, 3 teams have now canceled. Granite Falls High School is the latest, forfeiting its game scheduled for this Friday. Athletic Director Joey Johnson.
We made a decision based on the health and welfare of our kids. And that's really what it comes to. That's our first priority.
Archbishop Murphy isn't just big. Some of its players are the size of college and even professional players. There are 6 weighing at least 250 pounds, including 3 over 300 pounds. Just one Granite Falls player weighs 250.
It's a physical game, and our kids and parents are concerned about getting hurt. So, bottom line.
That your Friday game has been forfeited, to me, doesn't really ring true to what we're trying to teach our young adults here.
Jerry Jensen is Archbishop Murphy's head football coach.
This is their opportunity to face adversity, power through it, and it will serve them well in their life.
Players like lineman Jackson Yost, 6'3", 265 pounds, just want to play.
We can't focus on what other schools do, and we just have to focus on what we need to do to prepare for the next upcoming game.
That's if there is a next game.
One reason the players are so big here may be because Archbishop Murphy can recruit from around the region. Public schools simply cannot. So there's a growing call around the league here for this school to move to a higher division. Essentially, Scott, they're saying, go pick on someone your own size.
Carter Evans, thank you very much. When we come back, a farewell fit for a superhero. There is a new exodus of migrants attempting the dangerous journey by sea from North Africa to Europe. Italy's Coast Guard says more than 10,000 have been rescued this week from rickety boats and rubber dinghies. They fled wars and poverty at home, making their escape before the cold of winter. At least 50 did not survive. In his short life, Jacob Hall loved superheroes, the good guys. Today, he was dressed as Batman for his funeral in Townville, South Carolina. A poster showed him as Superman. At his family's request, many of the mourners also dressed as superheroes. There were Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers. His mom, Renee, wore a Robin costume. Jacob was 6. He died Saturday after being shot at school 1 week ago. 2 other children and a teacher were wounded. A 14-year-old is charged with murdering Jacob and murdering his own father. We'll be right back. We end tonight with an American hero, one of more than 20,000 wounded in 15 years of war in Afghanistan. David Martin now on the marvel of medicine that has given this veteran a new beginning.
6 years after he lost all of his limbs to an explosion in Afghanistan, John Peck appeared in public for the first time with human arms. He began by thanking the family of an unknown young man who in death donated those arms.
I will tell you this, your loved one's death will not be for nothing. Every day that I look down at our new arms, I will drive on through the pain, and I will never give up.
Peck, a former Marine, is one of only 25 people in the entire world to receive a double-arm transplant.
As you can see, the countertops are lowered.
When we talked to him before the operation, he was counting on it to free him from a life in which everything was difficult.
I can't make sandwiches. Sandwiches is too much work, hands-on kind of stuff, like opening up the deli or the lunch meat.
He had been on the waiting list for nearly 2 years while Dr. Simon Talbot searched for a donor.
He's going to be living with these arms, hopefully for the rest of his life, and we want to make sure that that's the best possible match we can get for him.
The operation at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston took 14 hours. Arms from the donor, who had been declared brain dead 36 hours earlier, were rushed in to be attached to Peck's stumps. You can see the hands turn pink and come back to life.
Here we go, look at that. Oh yeah. Radial pulse, perfect.
The surgery is just the very beginning of it. After surgery, he's got months and months and months of physical therapy and rehabilitation.
Just bring your arm up, straight out in front.
Maximum effort.
Before Peck can use those arms, nerves have to grow down to his new fingertips, a slow and sometimes painful process. For now, the arms are in braces to protect them from strain, and it could be a year before he has sensation in his fingers. Along the way, His body will try to reject his arms.
Any day my body can say, nope, not having it, and then go back to Brigham and get my arms re-amputated even higher than I was before. So that's the head of the bed.
But everyday tasks are now within his reach.
I'm just grateful that I'm going to have this opportunity to be able to hold somebody's hand again, to possibly be able to fulfill my dreams, my lifelong dreams.
His dream is to become a chef, but he already has a fiancée to hold his hand. David Martin, CBS News, Boston.
And that's the CBS Evening News for tonight. For all of us at CBS News all around the world, good night.